You're tuning into A Wake Up Call, which is your weekly dose of purpose packed with science-backed tools to beat burnout and boost happiness.
Hosted by us, Tess Brower and 7-time world champion Layne Beachley.
We're the founders of Awake Academy. This podcast mixes raw life lessons, expert wisdom and practical tips
to help you stop sleepwalking through life and start living it on your terms.
You ready to wake up and thrive?
Let's go.
Welcome to another episode of A Wake Up Call. I'm Layne Beachley.
And I'm Tess Brower.
And together, we love to start every episode with either a mantra, an indication of how we're feeling out of a number,
an intention.
And today it's going to be a mantra, an I am mantra, a declaration to the universe that declares how we're feeling or how we want to feel.
Yeah.
And how we want to show up.
And now we've got a very smart person coming in today. So mine is going to be, I'm curious.
Oh, that was really good.
Thank you.
Okay.
You can have it.
No, because I'm going to embrace how I'm feeling and say I am grounded.
Okay.
So that means I'm going to be asking questions from a place of groundedness and you're going to be coming from a place of curiosity.
Yeah.
So who have we got coming in today?
So today we have Sue Langley. So Sue has dedicated her career to making the science of wellbeing practical, measurable and deeply human. She's the founder of the Langley Group. She's worked with some of the world's biggest organisations and she was my teacher when I studied the Diploma of Positive Psychology and Wellbeing, which is a little bit of a tongue twister.
Oh, you did it well.
Thank you. So what makes Sue extraordinary is she takes really complex science research and makes it really easy for our brains to comprehend and to understand.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I know. And there's nothing more important in wellbeing, I believe, than understanding the science around the why, because it helps people actually do it. And it's helped me do it as well because, yeah, you can say one thing, but when you understand the science, it actually makes you put pen to paper. So with that in mind, welcome Sue Langley. Sue, a lot of wake-up calls start with a moment in time that changes the course of their lives. You were a truck driver and now you run a wellbeing training centre for positive psychology and wellbeing. How did that happen? Was it a wake-up call?
I think it was osmosis, really. I'm one of these people that I see opportunities in all sorts of things, and sometimes it's a bit like litter on the street. You know, you pick it up, you throw it in the bin, but you look at it first to see if it might be useful.
I do that every day. Like, I walk around the streets wherever I am in the world. Basically, I've got my eyes pinned for plastic or rubbish, and sometimes I've picked up cash, jewelry.
I have a friend who picked up a lotto ticket and won between $60,000 and $80,000.
Stop it.
Yeah.
So there's benefits to picking up things, but to your point,
that's kind of life.
Yeah, that's life. Yeah, you pick up bits.
So what was the truck driver part of that?
I tell you what, being a truck driver in Europe taught me an awful lot at a very young age.
Yeah.
What did it teach you?
Independence, confidence. When you are a single 18-year-old female and you don't see another female pretty much all week when you're on freight boats and you're going to factories and things like that, and you have to figure out how to speak German when you don't really speak German, because I spent a lot of my time in Germany.
Were the first German words you spoke mostly swear words?
No, ich verstehe nicht.
Stay away from me.
But it taught me a huge amount of independence because, you know, I kind of had to use a map because there was no such thing as a smartphone. So figuring out how to get your way around, how to strap down, I don't know, a combine harvester part thing on the back of your trailer with ropes, how to be sliding backwards through an icy tiny village at 3 a.m. and realizing you might go through somebody's front room if you don't get your stuff together. There was an awful lot of independence and confidence in those moments.
Huge. And I can see how they translate into trying to navigate the corporate landscape of well-being right now.
Well, it certainly helps, I think, of knowing to trust yourself when you find yourself in situations. And, you know, I see a lot of people, like a couple of years ago, I spent a month in Italy and I'm driving through Italy by myself and all this. And so many people said to me, oh, I'd never do that. And I'm like, my goodness, I was doing it when I was 18 and you wouldn't do it now. So, yeah, that probably taught me a lot.
Can I talk to that for a moment? Because I'm not a parent, but I'm obviously in the world of parenting and observing it all the time. And I'm seeing a lot of mental health issues, especially in younger kids. And I feel that an extension of that is a lack of resilience. I feel like we're building reliance more so than we're building resilience. So you talk about this independence and these street smarts that you were able to build because of the opportunities you had of being able to go and follow your dreams, or I don't know if being a truck driver was actually a dream.
Perhaps a dream.
No.
Turned into one.
Yeah. But how do we encourage parents to embrace the concept of resilience and learning to trust in their child's ability to build that within themselves to then prolong their quality of health and happiness?
It's a really good question. And I know at the time, many people said to my parents they shouldn't let me do it.
Why?
Because I was 18 and female and going to Europe.
As a truck driver. You really wanted to drive away, didn't you?
Same as when I travelled around the world for a year, so many people said to my parents, you shouldn't let her go, you shouldn't let her go. But thankfully, my parents didn't listen. Well, mainly my dad didn't listen. And he was like, go, do stuff. And I wonder about that now. To your point, I was listening to two beautiful parents of an 18-year-old girl who lives in Brisbane and hasn't yet driven to the Gold Coast to meet some friends because she's scared of driving from Brisbane to the Gold Coast. Wow. And both parents at separate intervals said, oh, it's okay, it is scary. And I just went, what if it's not? Because when you've got parents saying quite gently and empathetically, you know, it's scary, it's reinforcing that it's scary. But it's not scary to drive from Brisbane to the Gold Coast. It's not scary at all. No. For some people. So what if it's not scary? And I suppose that's the thing is we do need to trust people. We do need to, if you think about any plant, the way that it thrives is because now and again it gets hit by, I don't know, a bit of frost here and a bit of extra sun here and whatever and that's what helps it grow.
Or if your land's parts, a little bit of healthy neglect and then it blooms.
There you go.
Absolutely, yes. But if you're a Pinot Noir, you actually thrive under stress.
Yeah.
It makes such a great wine.
Yeah. But to your point about resilience, we only know what we're capable of sometimes when we're put under pressure. If we're not letting people do that, how on earth are we going to survive?
To this point around healthy amounts of stress versus unhealthy amounts of stress, what is the tipping point? Because stress does help from a neuroscience point of view. It does help you, but we've almost become allergic to it. We can't even say the word stress without freaking people out.
Or we're addicted to it.
Yeah.
And that's all we know is stress.
Well, the thing that I love about stress, if you actually think about the word stress, it comes from engineering. Stress is the amount of pressure you can put on, let's say, a beam before it shears or breaks or cracks or whatever you. So it's not that there's no pressure. Stress is useful. What we know from a neuroscience perspective is that if you think about the way people explain stress, if you like. If you think stress is going to be harmful and should be avoided, etc., then actually it causes cortisol to rise and DHEA levels, which is the chemical in your brain that is designed to process learning and memories, to drop. If you see stress as helpful and should be embraced and utilized, it causes cortisol levels to rise, same, but it causes DHEA levels to rise. Now, if you think about basically what that means, if I've got more DHEA, the neurochemical DHEA, that means I am much more likely to lay down new memories and process my learning, which of course means I've got more skills and more resilience to draw on next time. Now, it's not always easy to say, oh, just embrace stress. I'm not saying we should take on lots, but to your point, the tipping point will be different for different people. And I always share the story is, I, like many people, COVID was an interesting experience. For me, 98% of our business was face-to-face when COVID hit. So I had 20 people on the payroll and a bunch of associates that all of a sudden, no work. And I felt like vomiting quite a bit. So I reminded myself of, let's embrace stress. Let's figure out what I can learn from it. And do you know what? We turned both businesses around in 4 weeks and we ended up with double the number of people on the diploma 4 weeks later than we would have had when we had to cancel the first face-to-face.
Wow.
So what was causing the feelings of vomiting?
Because it was really stressful.
Yeah. What was stressful?
The fact that for me personally, I had 20 people who were relying on me for their income, for their livelihoods and those sorts of things.
So the stress was coming from expectation and fear.
Not fear for me necessarily.
No, but fear for them.
Yeah, I see a huge amount of responsibility of giving people really good work and hopefully they enjoy what they do and those sorts of things, and then thinking, well, if I can't afford to pay them, then they can't afford to pay their mortgage.
Yeah.
So a lot of stress around that. But
I feel like that's the parent trap, because that's why it's hard for parents. And personally, what I've witnessed is trying to push someone out the door, but then still needing to pay for them.
Yeah. and I suppose maybe when you think about it from a parenting perspective, look at things like animals. At some point, I don't know, the bird in the tree eventually is the parent is going to kick the bird out and hope that it flaps its wings and it's going to get somewhere. And so, as I say, the tipping point is different, I think, for different people. And it often comes, again, if you think about where people feel anxious, anxiety is part of the fear emotion, but anxiety has an added layer. So I feel fear, but anxiety adds the layer of, and I don't think I've got the skills to cope with it. So sometimes it's a case of, I might feel stressed, but how do I put some more tools in my toolkit? Well, my experience in COVID, I'd never had that experience before of how do I turn the business around? What do I do? So you have to learn stuff really quickly. Doesn't mean to say you can't do it, but you need some more tools in your toolkit to be able to handle whatever that tipping point is.
So like the girl that's not willing to get on the freeway to drive from Brisbane to Gold Coast, she's never going to have a toolkit unless she gets behind the wheel and starts driving.
Yeah. And my rationale to that, and appreciate I simplify things, if you can drive 15 minutes up the road in Brisbane, you can drive 3 times 15 minutes down the road to the Gold Coast.
Yes.
It's the same thing, just done 3 times.
Just with a whole lot more cars.
So is that the trick of, so we talked about this offline, that positive psychology is often reduced to give me 3 tips.
Yes.
But what is it around the science of the brain that's happening in these moments where you're asked, like we talk about growth begins on edge of your discomfort zone. From a science perspective, what is happening to our brains when we're positioned with, and I'm sorry to the girl who's driving down the Gold Coast.
She's a beautiful person.
And when you're about to get in the car for the first time, you're edging into discomfort, for you redesigning your whole business whilst vomiting at the same time.
Didn't actually vomit.
Yeah. Felt like it. What is happening to our brain and how is it changing in these moments?
Yeah, so often when you think about the way the brain works, it works based on chemicals, neurochemicals. So of course, neurotransmitters are the things that create, whether it's dopamine or serotonin or oxytocin or adrenaline or cortisol or all these DHEA, all a whole bunch of things. So what we experience as stress is actually just a biological stuff going on in our body. That's it, really. So sometimes it's acknowledging that, but also to your point about when we get to that edge of discomfort, whatever it is, and I have a saying, get comfortable with the uncomfortable emotions. Sometimes it's okay to sit with it and go, yeah, I'm uncomfortable. And if I'm uncomfortable for the next 15 minutes or the next 3 days, can I handle that? If you can, great. If you can't, then okay, how do you stretch it out a little bit further?
How do you determine whether you can or you can't?
If you ask yourself that question, you'll know.
Okay.
If you ask yourself, I feel really sad right now, can I cope with sitting with that for the next day or so? If I feel like this for the next day, can I cope with it? And you'll know if you can or not. And the chances are we always think it's going to go on longer than it will. So if you go, I can cope with it for the next hour, that's cool. You can get to the Gold Coast.
I'm beginning to see how you won so many world titles, because you had to change that discomfort moment over really quickly. You couldn't sit in it for 3 days.
No, of course not. I only had 30 minutes.
Or 1 second, next wave.
Or yeah, that moment. But I was a victim in the first 7 years. So it was everyone else's fault. Everything outside of me was determining my discomfort. And I wasn't owning the fact that I was the common denominator to my discomfort. So when it came to switching that mindset, first I had to realize, okay, the way I'm thinking is determining the feeling that's associated with it. Am I willing to sit in that feeling?
So can I come to that? Because you said earlier, Tess, about, what's going on in the brain. We know emotions generally, nobody likes to believe this, but emotions last about 90 seconds.
Yes. So what keeps them going?
Exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
What's going on in our head.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bit of anxiety, and instead of going, oh, look, I'm having some anxiety, that's interesting.
Yes.
and sitting with it and get curious about it. We go, oh my goodness, why am I anxious? Oh my goodness, this is what can happen. To your point, sitting on a surfboard, you haven't got the time for 200 of those. It's just like, oh, look, here's some anxiety, bang, you've got to move on. Because something's going to happen. Now, you can do that. And again, if we go back to the brain, create neural pathways that are then around that constant heightened sense of stress and anxiety, or we learn from it and we go, that's interesting. I did that last time. I got through that. Okay, let me look at the times I've been successful before and what can I learn from that, and lay down the pathways that says, this is me when I was awesome. This is me when I nailed it. This is me when I felt energized. The more we do that, the easier it then becomes.
Yeah, we dumb it down with the I ams.
Oh, yes.
And like, because we encourage people to get IAMs. I'm constantly tired and depleted because my son isn't sleeping, but I'm always saying to myself, I'm energized. What would energy do? Addressing that day like that. And Layne, yours is when you were winning the world title.
Oh, I had a different one all the time.
Yeah, the 6 world title.
The 6 world titles, I'm equipped, I'm strong, I'm successful.
Yeah.
You know, it became situational.
Yeah. But
I just wanted to go back to something you just said around high performance and success. What about what's happening in the brain when we create superstitions?
Oh, that depends, because it depends if they're useful for us. So as in superstitions, like if I wear lucky socks.
Well, for example, if I wear the same bikini, because, you know, you're going, okay, I went back into the past, I had that great experience, so I've learnt from that. Well, what I learnt from that is when I waxed my board that way and wore that bikini and showed up with that amount of time.
Did you have a superstition? Is this one?
Well, one of the superstitions, at first,
Clearly
I wore the same bikini. Yeah, I thought that was my lucky bikini. And then a superstition was never cutting my toenails before heat, for example. Because the last time I cut my toenails on the same day that I competed, I lost.
Okay.
So I just stopped cutting my toenails on the same day I competed.
I love this because it's a whole area of positive psychology that's linked around meaning and meaning making.
Yes.
And meaning making can be useful for us and it can be detrimental to us depending on how we're making meaning.
Right.
So to your point is if you are using it to propel you to something better and things like that, it can be really valuable. And we do it all the time. Everybody listening will have their own meaning making. There'll be, I'll give you my example. Whenever I see a dragonfly, I always go, oh, that's Nanny.
Oh.
I know it's not my Nan. It's a dragonfly.
Dr. Tara Swart would argue differently actually right now.
True. But to your point around that, there's a comfort in that. You know, I saw a dragonfly the other day and I just made a decision on something difficult and a dragonfly went past and I went, oh. And it was like, that's cool. That's meaning making.
Yes.
To your point, wearing your special lucky bikini is meaning making, and you probably get stronger because of it, because you've made that meaning in a way that works for you. Equally, unfortunately, we can make meaning in negative ways. We can, like, 2 things bad happen this morning and all of a sudden you go, oh, bad things come in 3s. Your brain is now primed to look for the 3rd.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you expect when something else goes wrong?
I'm glad we only limited it to 3.
So can we use this train of thought to tackle manifestation? Because I feel like we're heading into that path and the world is, depending who you talk to, it's either woo-woo or it's co-creation and it's the way of the universe. From a neuroscience point of view, what is happening to the brain when we're manifesting, and do you believe in it?
I don't believe in manifesting in the way that many people talk about it. But if we look at how the brain works, it's primed to look for things, to scan your environment consistently for things that are a threat or reward to you. That's its job. That's what it does. If there is something that you have indicated is important to you, that's important. That's a reward, if you like, that your brain is scanning for. So therefore, it's going to point it out to you. So I decided at my nan's funeral, dragonflies were important to me. I probably saw just as many dragonflies before, but now they're important for me. So I notice them. I see them. We often call that manifesting. Yes, I've manifested a dragonfly. The dragonfly would have been there before, but if I didn't have meaning to it, it's meaningless. It just flies by. So if you look at it from that regard, the brain is designed to look for these things. So if you've said that you want to write a book, you will suddenly notice things about publishing. If you have decided that
I want to be a world champion.
You want to be a world champion, potentially, you will see things that help propel you in that direction because you've declared a new importance, if you like. And the reason that I don't believe in manifesting the way people think of it, as in you can just sit here and go, oh, well, I'm going to dream up my perfect person or whatever you might be, but it's only because you've set a new significance that you are then open to that environment. And the only reason I say I don't believe in it from a manifestation perspective is the true sense of the word. If you look at the research around quantum physics,
which I never do.
Which I strangely do.
Of course.
Yeah. If you look at the actual research around quantum physics, not the law of attraction version, you can't make things happen just because you decide it in the world. But the way the brain works means we notice what's in the world based on what's a threat to us or important to us.
And that system's called the
reticular activating system.
Yeah, which for listeners, that's like wanting to buy a red car and then all of a sudden red cars everywhere.
Yeah. I have a bright orange Mini. I have been in so many cities around the world where there's a bright orange Mini.
Of course.
And there can't be that many on the road, but every city I go to, there's a bright orange Mini. Follows me around.
So just before we move on to another topic, what do you believe when it comes to manifestation?
I believe in setting goals and visualizing and moving towards and being open and being curious. Because then my brain is going to notice the thing that I've declared as an importance, if you like. So if I've said something is important, my brain is now open. I believe in being curious about things and seeing possibilities. And I also know that if you look at, and again, I believe by what the science tells me, I suppose, if you look at the way the brain works and the way the body works, we know that positive emotions build our resources and make us more open to these sorts of things. So when you're in a positive emotional space, you are more likely to notice these things anyway. If you're in a negative emotional space, we're often closed off to these things. So all of these things play out to get us to where we want to go, which people call manifestation.
What if you don't know where you want to go?
Then just keep doing stuff and see what happens. I'm not a big goal person myself. I remember going to some of these personal development things. It's like, where do you want to be in 20 years' time? I'm like, I don't know. Who knows? You know, somebody might offer me something really cool that comes up. And it's a bit like the litter on the street. You pick it up and you go, oh, that's cool. I'm going to run with that.
Oh, $100. Win it.
So, you know, some people have that brain where they think about it. I think more about how do I want to show up and who do I want to be. So if you don't necessarily have a goal of I want to climb Mount Everest by, you know, the time I'm whatever age, that's fine. But how do you want to show up? How do you want to be every day? I don't know. Sometimes I think that's probably more important.
I feel like for me in my journey, and we have ambitious goals for Awake in this podcast, but what gets in the way of my story is my worthiness. That some of the times, and I can even feel my body and the emotional data that comes in when I say worthiness, and it's a story I hear from a lot of people, is I don't feel worthy of this. So that would, in manifestation, would be like that's a block, that's a self-limiting belief. How do I rewire that in my brain? How do I start believing that I am worthy?
What if you believed it?
I'll drive to the Gold Coast.
From Sydney and back.
I suppose one of the things, a tip that I'd say is always flip it. If you felt worthy, what would that feel like? If you were able, what would you do? And as soon as you start thinking about when you've been worthy before or when you can see yourself as, if you think about the future, our brain has this wonderful ability, we call it the psychology of time, of focusing on the past and either ruminating or reminiscing or whatever, focusing now, here and now in the present. And we also have the ability to visualize, think about the future. But it's really hard to visualize a future that you haven't already experienced at some point. So often one of the ways that we, and this all comes out in hope theory of whether we see ourselves moving towards a future. If you can have a future in mind of something you'd like to achieve, of whatever worthiness feels like to you, that's your goal, that's great. But it's hard to picture if you haven't felt it before.
Yeah, so I'll put that in context. We won a #1 podcast in the health and wellbeing space in Australia, which is the equivalent of over 100,000 downloads per episode and some. So it's certainly not a place either of us have been in.
I've been on a podcast that has that.
Yeah.
So that I can use that as the visualization.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't actually have to rely on your past to
No, it
predict
doesn't
your
have to be
future.
the same.
Yeah.
But you look at different experiences of, my first question would be why? Because the why is also really important. Do you
why's
want
the
it
driver.
just because you want that number of people? My guess is no. You want it because you want to impact people in some way. It's not just, woohoo, I've got 1 million followers. Aren't I great?
Yes, you are.
But it's about more than that. It's not the number. It's the why.
Yeah, and our why is about empowering people with the toolkits.
So you can already tell me what that feels like. Because I can guarantee you've already empowered one person.
Myself.
Well, I wasn't perfect. There you go.
I wasn't putting you in the middle of that, but yes, we have empowered you.
But this is the thing, to your point, is if you've empowered one person,
Which we know we have.
you've got experience.
Yes.
You translate that to 100,000 people.
Well,
As opposed to the limiting belief that it's not worthy of being successful until 100,000 people have experienced it. Okay, now I'm worthy of the success, or now I'm deserving of it. So, yeah, you project. Because, I mean, that's how I won 6 consecutive world titles. I didn't wait for, that whole concept around you can't see it, you can't be it. There's no one else in the world in surfing that won 6 consecutive world titles. So I didn't wait for someone else to do it before I saw it. And similarly, I didn't wait for I didn't allow my past to become my future. I just kept looking ahead and focusing on that outcome and then investing in the process to achieve it. Same thing can be done.
did you ever have the goal like, I'm going to be a trailblazer? Like, was
No.
that part of
No.
a goal or a mission? It was just, I'm going for it.
I'm just going after becoming number one. There was one component where I reflect back in the early years and go, I want to leave the sport in a better place than how I found it.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't very clear about what that outcome looked like, what I was going to do, what was going to be required. It's just, I know.
What would it cost?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It's like, I just know that I don't want surfing to be experienced in the way in which I experience it. Women surfing in particular.
But even if you translate that, when I said about, even if you haven't experienced the future before, because you can't possibly experience the future, it doesn't even exist.
No.
Because as soon as it's here, it's not the future anymore.
It's the present.
Yeah. But you just said you wanted to leave the sport better than you found it. If you leave one person better than you found it, you've already got experience of what you need to do.
Yeah.
You can experience that now in the moment of this moment. I helped somebody do something better. If you've got one experience of that, of course you can have many hundreds of thousands of them.
So
It's no
was it
different.
that made you go from truck driver to leader of the Langley
psychology.
Group? Yeah.
No, not at all.
What was it? Because that wasn't a path that was paved for you. That wasn't in front of you.
No, it was interesting because nobody in my family went to university. It just wasn't the done thing. It wasn't spoken about. You just didn't do it. But I always really loved learning. So I ditched the truck driving because I knew I didn't want to be a truck driver for the rest of my life. And I went traveling around the world for a year and I thought that'll be fun. I had just before leaving, about a week before I was due to fly, I broke my back after falling off a horse and had to postpone my trip. But I still got on a plane to Australia from the UK, from boob to bum in a plaster cast, sitting on the plane for 24 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Talk about resilience.
Talk about punishing. Was that just the most painful thing ever?
It wasn't particularly comfortable, but I was determined. I had planned my year and I wasn't going to lose it.
Where'd you get the cast? How long were you in that cast?
Well, so they gave me the cast. It was kind of this weird strap-on-y job.
Oh, right. Like a corset.
Yeah, sort of that. It was plaster cast at the back and sort of Velcro at the front.
Sexy.
It was
I bet you
very
hooked up a lot in
attractive.
Australia.
Oh,
yeah. Can I peel that apart? The sex sound of the 80s.
I was going to say the sound was interesting. But that was interesting because I only postponed my trip by a month. And it was literally, what's the earliest date I can get on a plane? And the doctor basically told me. And so I booked I changed my ticket for them. I was told things like, you must never do a bungee jump. So I did a bungee jump. I was told you mustn't start work until a certain date, and I started work on that date. I was told you shouldn't lift anything, and my first job in Australia when I was backpacking was lifting 25 kilo boxes of folded terry toweling nappies for 8 hours on the end of a production line. So
I'm sensing a theme here,
Yeah,
Sue.
don't ever tell Sue not to do something.
When I was in hospital, Sue, for a lot of the time, the people that I was around was mainly boys. They were told, you'll never walk again. And there was a lot of discussion around this, is whether that is helpful to someone
Or harmful.
And most of them adapted this mentality like, I will show you that I will. And like, we're entering into post-traumatic growth as a concept. What's your view on that?
It's actually an interesting one, because if you look at the research around telling someone they can't do something and them doing it, it's not as big a percentage as people think. So people use it as reverse psychology often. And I think it's something like 20 to 25% of the population will respond to that.
In a positive way.
In a positive way, as in I'll show you.
Yeah.
But some people, a majority of people actually don't. So to your point, and it might be the type of people that find themselves in those situations because they're already maybe risk takers or something, I don't know.
I feel like men as a category, I know just from watching my husband and his boys, if he says don't do it, they're doing it.
Yeah, so there's two things there. One is the language around things. All of us, if you tell me I can't do something, I want to do it. If you tell me I have to do something, I don't want to do it. That's called the psychology of language. The challenge that you've sometimes got in the medical profession is it can almost come across as a pronouncement because they're the expert. So it will also depend on if you hold that expertise in high esteem. It can then cause you to, oh, well, they've told me I can't, those sorts of things. But I do wonder if there's something, I don't know, something in us sometimes that it's not about whether we're told we can't do something. It's about someone believing that it's possible. If you've got someone believes that it's possible, you might have somebody who's told you can't do it. But is there somebody who actually believes that it's possible that you can do something else? It's why I asked you earlier, it's why I used the same question about the Brisbane to Gold Coast example. Well, what if it's not scary? What if you did feel worthy? What if you could walk again? What if? And of course, everything's different. Every situation is different. I think people said to me afterwards, you could have been in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. But I think I go through life quite oblivious sometimes.
Chosen oblivion.
Yeah, it didn't actually occur to me. There was no question. It wasn't until afterwards that people around me were saying this. I'm like, well, I'm jolly glad I didn't hear any of that when it was going on, because it was just like, I'm getting on a plane. I'm doing it. Why can't I do a bungee jump? Of course I can. So for me, it's probably more oblivious than proving them wrong.
Well, I was going to say, is there a psychological term that you could use to...
But better than oblivious.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking, because I'm very similar. Maybe it's risk... Well, I'm not risk adverse, so because my risk profile is, who else would ride 50-foot waves for fun?
It's almost like you have to gaslight yourself into believing something different in a positive way, which is...
I don't know. I think there's a deep-seated belief or confidence in your ability to figure it out as you go and just embrace the opportunity and go, I'm willing to learn.
Yeah.
I'm willing to fail, and that's okay.
So I think there's, for me, there's absolutely that as there's self-belief. You've got to nurture some of that self-belief along the way. And sometimes that comes from telling yourself what you've done before and go, oh, yeah, I did that. Yay, me. You don't have to be arrogant and annoying about it, but just quietly to yourself now again go, woohoo, this is great.
Yeah.
But I do feel, oblivious is probably the wrong word, but I can't think of a better one right now, is I remember in my own business when there was global financial crisis and whatever and there were so many consulting firms and people that I knew around me, one-person bands and as well as bigger firms who were going, they'd come to me and said, oh, this must be so difficult for you because training is the first thing to be cut. And you do that soft skills stuff. You must be really struggling. I'm like, no, I'm quite happy. And I would just keep going. I'm like, I'm not listening, just keep going. And that's what I think of oblivious, is I refuse to listen to that. And we did not have any problems. Like numerous other people were really struggling and we're like, oh, this is fine. It's a bit like that when sort of COVID hit or when these certain things happen that, as I say, oblivious is probably not the right word, but it's almost like I'm not letting that sink in.
To me, it's almost blissful. because
Yes.
Blissful oblivion.
yeah, it's blissful because
It is.
I mean, I think about that, and I want to pose this question back to you. So today, we're so inundated with negativity, with fear, with 24-hour news cycles, with comparison analysis,
repayments.
threats and challenges. Like, we are constantly under attack. Our senses we're constantly on high alert, which is increasing our stress threshold. How do we help people navigate that to find their own little pockets of bliss?
Yeah, one of the first things is turn off the news.
Yeah.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but I remember a few years ago being at a positive psychology conference, and they happen every year in different parts of the world, and it was the most people in one room who do not watch the news.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because, and I'm not saying you need to be completely oblivious about what's happening in the world.
Oh,
if you
that's a
have
shame.
the ability to change something in your community or whatever, that's great. But I remember my nan before she passed away, she watched the news all the time and she gets so stressed. And I remember her like, oh, there's been a train crash in Austria and 10 people have been killed or whatever. And I'm like, Nan, you live in Tasmania. There is nothing you can do for those. But she was so upset about it because she was such a lovely, lovely person. But if there's something you can do, go do it. Go make the world a better place. And I would love to change the world. I'd love to see some of our systems sort of crumble a little bit and be rebuilt in new and wonderful ways. But sometimes we can actually protect ourselves. And my inbox is filled with good news. So I have the Optimist Daily, I have Good News Network, I have various things. And it's the things that are going on in this world that are awesome, that are never making mainstream news, are amazing.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I call this hacking your own personal algorithm, because the more you're seeking out, or the more you follow negativity or fueling like these like accounts that give you more fear, the more you're feeling it on a subconscious level as well.
And if you look at the research around hope, and this is fresh in my mind in the morning because I've just been lucky enough to interview one of the leading researchers around hope, is if you feel you can move towards your future, you tend to be more open to possibilities. You tend to be more taking responsible action, even if it's tough, even if you know there's obstacles, you're more likely to take action, you're more likely to be open, etc. If you feel the future is coming at you, what tends to happen is we get filled with fear and then we bunker down and we shut ourselves off, and it's them and it's us. And so that negativity that we sometimes find all around us, the more we get caught up in that, it actually shuts us down. It shuts down the way your brain works. Again, we know when you're in a positive emotional space, more areas of your brain are actually active. So you can think better, you can come up with better ideas, you can leverage possibilities when they come up, you can be curious. Whereas when you're in that anxiety and that negativity and that fear, it actually shuts down your brain processing. It shuts down what you take in. So that reticular activating system, we tend to shut down what we can perceive and literally physically see, let alone metaphorically take in. But also it tends to, we create a shell almost around ourselves because we have to be protective. It's the difference between trying to predict the future and getting scared by it, as opposed to what they call prospection, which is open to possible futures. And I think there's something in just, again, flipping our thoughts around that.
And to flip them, you have to tune into them at first.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to be aware of the system around us. And I talk a lot about the whole system now, because we forget how many things around us are actually shaping us. And to your point, whether it's news, whether it's the algorithms on my various social media feeds are usually really positive, again, because that's what I look at.
Yeah.
But when we think about that, if we can try and look for possibilities, try and see those things that are going on around us in the system that are shaping us, and maybe carve off some of those. I love the word decide. It means to cut off from. So decide what you want to choose to look at and what you don't.
I love that. I recently saw a study that we waste 52 minutes a day talking about everyone else's problems. And that in that, imagine like the fear, the should, the could, the would, like even if you just gave back 52 minutes to someone's day to say, just decide to stop talking about other people's business, not your own, has really helped me, because I'm like, I have to decide what to do or how I show up in this moment.
Love it.
So we're going to wrap with some quick fire questions.
Oh dear.
So what is positive psychology?
Positive psychology is the scientific study of human flourishing.
And what is flourishing?
Flourishing is having more tools in your toolkit than the adversity that's coming at you.
So focusing on the future as opposed to stories in the past.
Yeah, and just the more tools we can put in our toolkit. Adversity is going to come at you, whether you like it or not, but putting as many tools in your toolkit as possible. So as that adversity is coming, maybe sometimes you languish and sometimes you can still stay flourishing.
AI and wellbeing, where are we going?
How's
it positive?
Look, one of my taglines is the future is human, because I'm a firm believer that we as humans have created the messes sometimes in this world, and we as humans have the ability to change it. And I think AI, like with any technology, can be used for good or for not. And there are huge possibilities of using AI in such a powerful way. We know AI can detect breast cancer in scans quicker than a human can, and more accurately than a human can. Well, that's got to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Using it as an AI companion that's going to tell you that they love you within about 4 or 5 days and not challenge you. The person you love, who loves you and you love, is probably the one that challenges you and doesn't always tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Using an AI companion to just tell you what you want to hear and tell you that they love you and you're all wonderful is possibly not the ideal.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, that is scary.
I know.
That's right. Biggest myth about happiness that science has busted?
The biggest myth is that you have to be happy all the time.
Yeah. Okay, if someone had 60 seconds in one day to rewire their brain for well-being, what would you recommend?
Look for the good.
Why should leaders and organisations invest in positive psychology? Like, what is this ROI of performance in well-being that you're seeing?
Oh my goodness. The research now over the last 5 years of longitudinal studies across the highest performing organisations are the ones that invest the most in well-being. I can quote you the latest research that's come out, and there's a really good book around it. But Jean-Emmanuel Deneuve and colleague have done some brilliant research.
What's the book called?
The book called is something like why workplace well-being matters, something like that. But really great research over the last 5 years that shows that the companies that invest the best in well-being actually outperform the S&P, the Russell 3000, and the Nikkei.
Yeah, I love that.
What are they investing in when it comes to investing in well-being?
Could be all sorts of things, but
not just yoga and fruit bowls.
Yes, thank you. It's real. And this is the challenge often is within organizations, people don't know what to invest in. And so it's a quick tick and flick often. Yeah. One of the things that we know again from the research is promoting flourishing includes education. You have to educate people. It's one of the reasons I get frustrated when people just turn gratitude into, let's just do 3 things we're grateful for at the end of the day. Now, I do that. That's something that I do, but it's not the only thing that I do. Or start every meeting with one thing you're grateful for. That's great. But if you understand the science of what gratitude does for us and why it works, you can bring gratitude to life in 200 ways as opposed to one tick and box.
Yeah. If schools built positive psychology in the curriculum tomorrow, what change would you see in the next generation?
We would certainly have more resilient human beings.
That would make us happy, wouldn't it?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Actually, it might put us out of work.
At the moment, unfortunately, there's way too much work to do.
Okay. Well, we're here for the long term.
Absolutely.
All right. What excites you the most about the future of neuroscience and well-being?
What excites me the most is a more holistic, integrative view. So one of my keynotes is The Future is Human, and I can deliver that and watch people walk out inspired and see things from a more systemic, holistic view, that we won't keep pulling things apart into chunks. You know, medically, we have a cardiologist, we have a gastroenterologist, we have a neurologist, and we chop the body into bits. We've kind of done that in society. But actually, if we can kind of start seeing things more systemically, we would change the way that we do things. And that would be exciting.
That is beautiful. And what an amazing place to end, because the whole body connection is something that we're so powerfully excited by, because I know that it's changed our lives too. So, Sue, where can people get more of you?
They can just jump on SueLangley.com and see more.
Yeah, well, I highly recommend people to do the Practitioner of Positive Psychology and Wellbeing to get them on their start.
The diploma is pretty special.
Yeah, it is.
We're going to offer a 3-tip diploma right now.
We are.
We'd love to wrap up every episode with top 3 tips. So we're aiming to help people be happier, more purposeful, live with more centeredness and connectedness and confidence. So we've had a pretty in-depth conversation around neuroscience.
We've been everywhere. Pew, pew.
Yeah, like pew, pew, pew. Yes. So I think, what are the top 3 things that we can leave our listeners with when it comes to building resilience? This toolkit comes to you by Micronutrition. Want to wake up? Wake up with us and Micronutrition.
So 3 tips from this conversation. I would say look for the good, search it out, find it.
Does it help writing it out?
It can do different things for different people, but you've got to notice it in the first place. So
And then how do you anchor that noticing?
Again, up to you whether you write it down, make a game of it. I've done that much to my husband's well, kind of a bit like that, yeah.
Spotto is a big one that we orange minis
And dragonflies.
but look for the good, notice it, pay attention to it. I think that would be one. Be careful what you surround yourself by, because we know the system around us can have a big influence. So decide what gets in and what doesn't. And probably the third thing based on our conversation is, if there is a goal or something that you're aiming for, find examples of where you've seen it before in yourself, even if it's only for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 day, whatever it happens to be.
And that will reinforce the belief that you can do it too.
That you can do it and move into the future that you're looking for.
One question I really wanted to ask you, have you seen Inside Out?
I have.
Inside Out 2?
Yes. Such a good movie.
What is it? I mean, my mind was blown watching that film. I love Inside Out.
She loves cartoons.
Inside Out 2 was really
Inside Out 2 was my favourite. Yes,
so cute.
Nostalgia. Anxiety just made me anxious.
Sue probably wrote it.
Yeah. What did you... I mean, is it a true representation of... Like, because psychologists...
Of course it is, Layne. Of course. That's exactly what your brain looks like.
Okay, good. I feel better now.
Okay, I didn't actually mean that. That's but it's a good representation of many things. And I have to say, I think both movies are done brilliantly. And I remember studying in the States facial action coding system, so how to read emotions in faces. And we had one of the people from the original Pixar Inside Out on that course.
What did you learn?
Oh, I learned how every muscle in the face moves and to tell exactly what you're feeling even before you tell me.
Wow.
What emotion were they?
What, the person in the room?
Yeah.
Oh, we were learning all about every muscle.
What if
so
they've
that they
had
can
Botox?
If they've had Botox, it does make things a little more difficult.
Yeah. All right. On that note, Sue, thank you. What you've given us today is just huge insight into how our brain works. And I feel like if we get more agency about how we work, and we call it know yourself to grow yourself, but it really is that. It's just about understanding how you work. So we're going to call on you from time to time.
Perfect.
The segment will be called Ask Sue.
That's very sensible.
Yeah. Not the truck driver, Sue.
Oh, I'd like her to answer in German.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Take us home in German, Sue.
Yeah. I told you, I haven't spoken it in years.
I'll take you home in Italian.
Yeah.
Ciao.
And I'll take you home in Australian. Bye, mate. We'll put everything in our show notes. And if you want to know more, please see us at awakeacademy.com.au. And please leave a comment and let us know what you want to ask Sue next. Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Toodles.
Bye.
Au revoir. And that's a wrap for today's episode. We'll be dropping a new one every Monday.
If you want to hear more about us, check us out on awakeacademy.com.au or leave a comment or a review, because it really does help us. And in the show notes is everything you learnt today.
And if you want to work with us more, join us at the Awake Collective. The link is in the show notes. We'll see you next week. Toodles!